This life flow force is one of love, right? Is one of deep, deep, compassionate love that does not need anything from you, right? Because that's another whole other conversation that we could have. We're so used to in this 3D world being in conditional loving dynamics, right? Doing things to get something in return, or we can't do that unless I do this. And I want to remind everyone here that this force that is moving, that we are born from, bathed in, and expressing out, it has no conditions, right? And it loves you with a fullness that I think a lot of us haven't ever really fully experienced up until the moment they get to within this program. Welcome, beautiful souls, to Season 3 of the Cosmic Love Antenna with your host, Harrison Ma. I invite you on a mystical voyage from the intellect to the soul, delving deep into the mysteries of love's spiritual essence and its divine unfolding. This podcast celebrates the peeling back of heart layers, revealing beautiful, profound lessons, interviews with loving spiritual seekers, and practices and tools to open up your heart to love's infinite wisdom. I'm so excited to have you and grateful that our hearts have connected. Enjoy the show. Good morning, evening, afternoon, beautiful beings, and welcome back to the Cosmic Love Antenna. And today's episode is a deep dive into one of my new programs, the Life Flow Force Transformation, with the powerful Liam Naden. Today, we talked about what exactly is the life flow force and how you can start to connect to it and really start to feel it in your life, so you can not just tap into more success, not just tap into more love, but ultimately learn to express this divine power through you. As I like to say, you are born from, bathed in, and here to express this divine loving power that is already you. And the life flow force connection and this program that we talked about today can help you do just that. So as always, I hope this episode brings you a lot of value just in itself. And if this transformation is something that you are looking for, please go to lifeflowforce.com and you can learn more. Either way, tune in, tap in, and enjoy this conversation.
And this is a special episode because I actually have a guest with me on the show today to talk about something that I think most of us have forgotten about, yet it's probably, well, it certainly is the most important factor in our life, and in fact in all life. And it's the answer to the question which is, what's really going on? What's really creating life as we know, as it exists, and our life as it exists? And it's something that we've coined the term the life flow force. But to really understand this and help us through this, I brought on a colleague, a friend, an all-round great guy, Harrison Ma. So Harrison, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Liam. I'm really excited to be here. And as you were speaking, I was just reflecting on, what we're going to speak about, the life flow force, but also being in this hot seat and sharing this podcast chat with you today. It's been a couple of months, so I'm really honored and excited to turn on the engine of my voice and my heart to speak about a topic that I know both of us are really passionate about.
Well, that's great. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we were introduced through a mutual friend and colleague, I guess. And I think what we both realized as time went on is what we were teaching and explaining to people was really the same thing, but from a different angle. And so, which was really good for me in a way to realize that I was onto something that was the truth. And, whatever the truth is, whatever angle you come at it from, it's still the truth. Yeah. So I think it was a natural thing that we should spend some more time together and really join forces, which is what we've done, to create something to help people really understand in multiple ways how to be more successful, how to be more fulfilled in their life, and how to, if you like, understand what's really going on a deeper level. And we'll talk about that, what we've created shortly. But I think, what we're really talking about, we have this concept of the life flow force. So what does that mean? And I think what's become evident to me, and I'm sure to you as well, and we'll talk about this maybe about what the life flow force means. But I think if everybody takes a step back from our life, from all the crazy chaos that seems to surround us all the time, and really start to contemplate a bit more about what's really going on, what becomes more and more obvious is that there's some power or intelligence or force or energy or what we call the life flow force, but there's something much greater than what we are that's actually in control of things. And we only need to look at nature, don't we, and realize that, we think we're busy trying to set our goals or make our life better or trying to figure out what to do and come up with all these different practices and disciplines and ideas and knowledge and information on how to improve our life and how to make our way through the world. But we've overlooked and forgotten that we don't actually have the control that we think we do. And there are laws that govern everything. And I think it's only by discovering and uncovering what those laws of nature actually are and starting to use them that we can actually make a real progress in our life rather than fighting against it all the time.
Yes.
Give an example to people watching or listening. It's a little bit like mankind had tried for thousands of years to fly, simple example. And they tried all of these different techniques, observing birds and, creating wings and jumping off cliffs and hoping and praying that they'd fly. But it was only really until the Wright brothers discovered that there's a law about flying, which is called aerodynamics. And when they started to work on uncovering what aerodynamics actually is and use that law, that's when naturally flying became possible. It's the same with what we're trying to explain to people is we need to understand this energy, this power that's behind everything. And when you do that, you can actually use it rather than fighting against it to do what you're here to do, which is to have the greatest life possible. So what's your comment on that in terms of this expression of life flow force, or what's controlling the everything going on?
Well, obviously, Liam, as I'm sure you're very aware of, there's so much to this, which is why we made the program to begin with, right? To simplify the unknowing, to simplify the all-knowing, to simplify the oneness, and a word that I would use is the divinity that's inside of us. And something I would share on what you're saying in regards to this life flow force is that we can release the control by knowing that this power is us. Right, like this law, this force that, yes, we can see externally in nature, as a good example as you described. It is us, but to access it, we have to apply a certain way of understanding it, right? A certain way of moving through some processes that I think for a lot of us, we've forgotten how to access. So an example of this is our thoughts and emotions, right? And we're going to get into this, I'm sure, in a moment here. But as an example in my life, right, I grew up in a very religious context, right? And I put a lot of my thinking power, my belief power, in the understanding that this power that is me is a man on a cloud outside of me. But once I rearranged my belief system, i.e. the thoughts that I kept thinking, and took that external power and started seeing it and thinking about it and believing it to be in me, within me, my reality changed. And my relationship to this life flow force came back to its innate state, right? Its innate state being in me to begin with. So, I'll land it there and throw it back to you, Liam, but it just shows a simple step, a simple practice of just this one avenue of thinking, as an example, starts to help you bring back and come back to your power.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, aren't you? And when you were talking about this, or just talking just now, I was thinking, what's really odd about all of this is that we don't realize this is all, as you say, this is who we are. This is
Yeah.
natural. This isn't some weird idea that you have to spend 50 years on a mountaintop before anyone will show you or anyone will tell you, or you can discover for yourself what this actually is. This is the natural way we're supposed to live. And if you look at the natural world outside of us, you see that everything is in harmony with some sort of energy or power or intelligence. Things are working well. And it's only us as humans, we seem to have forgotten, or we have forgotten, and because we've forgotten who we are, we mess things up. We don't work in harmony with who we are. And often when we talk to people, I'm sure you have this as well, when people hear this idea, oh, yes, there's a life flow force. Yes, I know there's an intelligence, or I know everything. But people don't believe or feel that they can actually access this. They feel that it needs
Yeah.
to be difficult to do that. And you mentioned we have actually created a program, and we're going to talk about that. We've put together a program really to help people not only understand how to use this natural force and really harness it in your life, but also how simple it actually is and how far off we've gone in forgetting who we are and our natural purpose and our natural place in life, and how when we use this force, it's as simple as I said about the flying thing. You could have made it difficult, or you could have just understood the law and just go, well, when I do it the right way, I'll be able to fly.
Yeah,
Or
and it can be that instant, Liam. I think this is really, I hope that this is one of the biggest takeaways from this chat that people have, is that this connection to this intelligence, to this divinity, this life flow force, this power, it can be as quick as an instant realization, right? Because it's already there, as you're saying, right? It's something I like to say, this is something how I like to describe it, is it's something that we are born from, born with, and bathed in, right? So it's always in, around, and moving through us. The thing that is stopping it from becoming is us. So the moment that we make that realization, and it could be one moment, everything changes.
absolutely. Well, it always is one moment, isn't it? It's that one moment of realization. Sometimes it can take a long time to come to that moment of realization, but like every truth, it is always in an instant that you realize something is true, but it's getting to that point. And I think what we've done in this program, which we call the Life Flow Force Transformation Program, we'll go into the detail about what that is. It's really about helping people get to that point of sudden realization, and not in a way that, as I said, that's going to take 40 years, but by understanding what it is that creates that realization. When you have that instant of realization about who you are and what your power is, and how you fit in with the natural flow of life, and how you can use that to expand your life in the best way possible. Getting to that point, you need to apply a few simple habits, techniques, ideas, and suddenly it all falls into place. And that's the beauty of, I think, of when you get to understand who you are. All of these thoughts about, oh, life's difficult, or no, it can't be that easy, or it can't be that simple, or it can't be like that, or I don't believe in miracles, or I have to force things to happen, or I'm always
Mm.
going to have problems in my life, or I'm never going to be happy, or as some people say, they probably say to you as well, well, it's all very well for you. It's all very well for you, Liam and Harrison, to say
Yeah.
these things, but I've got to live in the real world. Somebody
Mhm.
said that to me once. All very well for you, but I have to live in the real world. This is the real world that we're talking about. What's your
Yeah,
thoughts?
there's again so many thoughts on this one, Liam, but I'll try and keep it simple. We we grow up as spiritual beings having a human experience in a 3D world that likes to program us with set rules and conditionings that are there to keep us small, right? And you just gave a set of beautiful examples of this. And it just, I want to give the example of the flower, right? The flower that we see in nature, or the lotus, I'll be even more specific, the lotus flower that grows from the mud, right? Grows from challenge, grows from beautiful adversity, but doesn't grow in a state of struggle, right? It doesn't grow from a state of like it's constantly pushing against or pushing uphill. It's growing in a sense of harmony. It's growing in a sense of of beauty and glory, right? There is a fertilization of teachings and shadows that we alchemize and transform, but the actual growing and the adventure that beautiful flower goes on is one of ease, right? It's one of peace, it's one of grace, it's one of beauty, right? And that is us, right? You've given the example already now a couple of times of nature and the natural world, and nothing. This is a deep spiritual truth that I constantly keep coming back to myself. Everything outside of me is inside of me, right? So everything I see in the external world has an internal inside of me, has an internal corresponding aspect. And what that means is if I can appreciate the beauty in the lotus flower, that the act of appreciation means that that same beauty is inside of me. So, put simply here, what we need to learn to do is release the conditioning, release the dis-ease, release the programming of smallness, and come back to what our truth is. And our truth is one of abundance. Our truth is one of constant expansion. Our truth is one of constant divine flow, which in many ways is this life flow force that we've been speaking about.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's absolutely right, isn't it? And I guess as you were speaking, what I was taking from what you're saying, or a thought that came to me, is maybe people are thinking, well, this is all very well and good, but how do you actually access this life flow force? Because it's all very well to believe in it theoretically, and maybe people are listening or watching and thinking, is this all a bit hokey stuff? I mean, how do we know this is true? And the beauty is when you start to access it, you do know it's true. You have a direct experience of. So even if before you experience it, you think about it on a theoretical level, well, that sort of makes sense that there is something that's controlling everything going on around me, but you don't have the experience of knowing that that's to be true unless you start to have that experience. So we need to find a way to actually be able to start to have that experience, to start to feel in the flow of the life flow force and start to be able to use it, and not only use it ourselves, but allow it to use us. And when we do that, of course, we realize that what we're allowing to use us is us as well.
Yes.
So how do we do that? Because in this program we've created, which just if people are interested in finding out, and they should be interested in finding out, you can go to a website we've created called lifeflowforce.com, where we have this program available for you. But do you want to tell us a little bit about, or help explain how we, because obviously this is what the program is about, is showing people exactly how to access this life flow force, but what other ways, or what would we say to people about how to start to access and use this power that is within us and is us?
Well, we've alluded to it a couple of times here now, Liam, but let's get specific because you're so right? It's one thing to intellectually understand these concepts and these understandings, but even in the spiritual world that I spend most of my time in, there's a difference between spiritual teachings and spiritual understandings and spiritual embodiment, right? And those lessons really come from the embodiment. And this is why I was really excited when you came up with the idea of to do this course together, was that this was an opportunity to make all of this an embodiment practice, right? To make all of this something that people can act on and start doing. So breaking it down, we started talking about the three sort of components of how we start to access the life flow force, right? This is our thinking, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, and then the actions that we decide to take. And when the life flow force that is already us, right, that we are born from, bathed in, and we start to express, these are the avenues that we can start to apply practical steps, practical instructions, practical worksheets, practical, ways of being to start to really see and feel the expression of this life flow force, right? So I already gave an example before, the thoughts that we are thinking, right? The way that if I live in a belief system that, let's use the one that I grew up in, that I grew up Catholic and Christianity, that my power is a man on a cloud outside of me. If I am thinking that, if I am believing that to be true, that is the reality that I am making. So if one of the first steps within this Life Flow Force program is really starting to analyze and see and begin to take our power back with the thoughts that we keep thinking. Because if I have the intention of accessing this life flow force, but at the same time have a belief system or a thought pattern that contradicts it, then we're not going to see the results that we deserve. So this is really one of the first examples of how we can start to make practical movements towards really seeing this life flow force move through us by analyzing our thinking patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned the word practical, because sometimes, and it was certainly, wasn't it the focus of when we put this program together, we wanted to make it immediately usable by people, immediately understandable, and to get immediate results. Because I think there are so many well-meaning traditions or methods out there where the results aren't necessarily the focus. They say they are, but it involves some long process where you make small incremental changes. But what we wanted to do was give people something that no matter where they are right now in their situation, filled with the problems and the distractions that it has, and not being able to just go away perhaps for a retreat and focus on connecting with the life flow force, but how can you actually do it in your own situation? So we've created a program that's very practical and gets results, but it gives you an understanding and an awareness at the same time.
Yes.
So that was really important, I think, wasn't it, to what we're doing? That people, and as you say, it's through your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. But again, a couple of things that you mentioned that are really pivotal to the principles of the program, the Life Flow Force Transformation Program. One is what I mentioned, that it's practical. The second is that it's about habits, because it's about creating a new habit. Often we think, why don't we get an instant result when we do something? And we do want fast results. We don't want to have to wait 20 years to get any result. But sometimes we forget that our life is the way it is because of the habits that we've created. And the disconnect that we've created with the life flow force, where we don't feel connected to our true nature, we've lost sight of who we really are, is really the result of habits not created by ourselves. But you mentioned your upbringing. I had the same upbringing as a Catholic as well. And I had the same ideas and habits about how you connect or not connect with your true essence, your true nature, which is the life flow force itself. So this program is about giving some simple, A, understanding of how it works, and B, simple ways that you can immediately start to change your relationship with this life flow force and develop a new habit. And it's not like a difficult habit that you have to, give up eating all the foods you like or doing anything radical. It's just about simple habits that will change your perception, change your relationship, and really change your life, change the results you get.
Yeah. And this is really part of the power that we have, right? Part of the life flow force that moves through us, and this divine power that is very synonymous with it, is the ability we all have to make a simple choice to implement a habit, as you're saying, that can change our reality forever, right? Because you gave the example before of the person that was living in this world of everything is so hard, everything doesn't happen overnight, I have to work for it. Those are thought habits, right? The reason that way of believing and thinking feels so impossible to get out of is because you kept thinking it, right? The habit of thinking something over and over and over again, right? Neurologically, I know you're really good with this, Liam, this understanding, it goes deep, right? The thought pattern, the neural pathways, they drop deep into the thinking world. So what I want people to understand is when you apply these divine habits that we're speaking about in our program, you start to reclaim the power that you've given away to within the old habits that you are programmed to believe, right? You start to bring back that which was already yours through the simple act of maybe journaling something, maybe taking a deep breath and dropping into your heart, maybe becoming aware of that self-analyzing, self-critic, rejection, self-abandonment that was so common, that now you have the habit of love. Now you have the habit of grace. Now you have the habit of compassion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's, and I think one of the other things that people might be thinking when we're talking about this is, I've heard this all before. Okay, yes, I know I just need to change my thinking and, correcting myself, and or maybe carrying around a little card with the thought I should have and reading it all the time. And, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy, I'm happy. When you're not happy, this isn't about that at all, because all of that sort of stuff, you've tried it, I know, and I've certainly tried it for decades, and that stuff doesn't work. What we're talking about here, when we're talking about thoughts and the other two approaches, which you mentioned, which are our feelings, how we feel emotionally, and our actions, the steps and the things that we actually do in our life. We're not talking here about these simple little things that you just try and do and don't work. You've tried before, like taking massive action. We have this idea, yes, the key to success in action is you just do lots of stuff. That doesn't work. The key to changing your thoughts is you just keep thinking the right thoughts. That doesn't work. So this program and feeling, you just have to feel grateful. You just have to feel good. Stop feeling bad. We know none of that stuff really works, because it's all good in theory, but how do you actually do that? And what I think is great about the program we've created is, because we've both had so much experience of what doesn't work, is we have highlighted in this program what really does work. And what really does work is A, very simple, but B, quite different to what most people have thought. Because when you think that all you need to do to change your thoughts is just change your thoughts, that's coming from a place of limitation. It's because you're not aware of the way you really change your thoughts, which is not through grim determination and beating yourself up every time you have the wrong thought and you go, I shouldn't be negative, I've got to be positive. And when you can't do it that way, that's A, difficult, and B, completely ineffective. So what people are going to find in this program is we have some techniques, if you like, or methods that actually do work. They do create results because they're based on our own experience, not only of what has worked for us, but also worked for other people. And I think that's what makes this program quite different from pretty well everything else that I've seen that's out there. And and certainly the feedback we've had from using these ideas individually in our own work has been tremendous, really, in a humbling sort of way.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, Liam, and I want to give an example of how this program breaks the mold, as you're saying, right? It breaks the mold of some traditional ways of approaching this kind of stuff. You gave the example a second ago of, you just got to feel happy. You just got to think happy thoughts. You got to, be in that, I would call that toxic happiness state. And in an area of the program, we talk about feeling and emotion, right? And a big part of my work in the world has really come into a deeper understanding of what it truly means to be with our emotional being, to be with our feeling being, to be with this energy and emotion that moves through us. And what I've come to understand is that every emotional state is not just divine communication from this power that's inside of us. Every emotional state has value, right? So from the highest states of joy and happiness and bliss to the quote unquote lowest states of anger, sadness, guilt, shame, there is value and communication in all of it. And part of this Life Flow Force program and part of the teachings that I sort of added from this lens is really learning to understand how we can surrender and trust and move through all states of feeling and emotionality to come back to this power, right? You are not happy because you suppress the darkness. You are happy because you learn to accept and embrace your entire being, right? And that entire being includes all ranges of beautiful emotionality and the communication that it brings. And a part of this program is really practicing and embodying that, like you've been saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think what you're talking about here is this idea of understanding and faith. We often have this idea that faith is something that we can't understand, but it's actually the opposite. You only have faith when you understand something. You only have faith that, or when you not just understand something, when you know something to be true. I mean, we live on faith, don't we? All of our life is based on trust and faith. We trust that the sun is going to rise in the morning. We trust that our heart is going to keep beating. We trust that things that when we're driving down the road, cars coming the other way are going to stay on the other side and not hit us. So we actually live through trust. But what makes us trust is knowing that that's just the way it works. And that's the key to the Life Flow Force transformation program that we've created is that apart from giving people practical things to do, it's also about coming to a place of understanding that that's just the way things work. And when you do that, you can release all of the pressure, all of the effort, all of the struggle, and just allow it to do its job. Allow the Life Flow Force to flow through you, through this place of knowingness that that's just the way it works. And you think back to your old life, and I think back to my old life, which was full of struggle and stress and worry and fear. And you look back on it and you think, why did I do it like that?
Yeah.
Why did I make my life so difficult, so hard? And you don't beat yourself up for that, but you're grateful for the fact that you did that because you didn't know. You didn't have an understanding or a knowingness that actually this Life Flow Force is a nurturing Life Flow Force. It's actually about your own, not only survival, but your expansion, your growth, your being the best that you can be. That's what it's about. That's what it's there for. This is a nurturing, supportive, energizing, and exciting power that we all have not only available to us, it's what we're supposed to be, the way we're supposed to be living.
Yeah. I'll add one more descriptor to that force, and it's loving, Liam. And because I know, a lot of the people that are in my community that follow me, right, I speak a lot about divine love and this, my book, the Cosmic Love Antenna, and that this unique love frequency that we all have moving through us. It's very synonymous with the Life Flow Force, right? It's the same in many ways. And the reason I wanted to add this word here is I think a part of a lot of the lost souls in the world that have this conditioning of everything needs to be hard. I have to force myself. I have to live in the real world, as you said. A lot of that conditioning comes from fear and pain, right? A lot of that conditioning comes from limiting belief systems of feeling unworthy, of feeling unlovable, of feeling not enough. And I want to step in here at this point as we're having this discussion to really also remind everyone that this Life Flow Force is one of love, right? Is one of deep, deep, compassionate love that does not need anything from you, right? Because that's another whole other conversation that we could have. We're so used to in this 3D world being in conditional loving dynamics, right? Doing things to get something in return, or we can't do that unless I do this. And I want to remind everyone here that this force that is moving, that we are born from, bathed in, and expressing out, it has no conditions, right? And it loves you with a fullness that I think a lot of us haven't ever really fully experienced up until the moment they get to within this program.
Absolutely. And I think what we're talking about here and the experience we're offering people through this program is the opportunity to actually experience and live from a place that you can't define. You can only know, because if you think about what we're talking about here is something that is actually infinite, and something that is infinite, which encompasses everything, apart from being infinite, it's also infinitely intelligent. But the minute you start to define it is when you limit it. So therefore, it can't be infinite if you can define it, if that makes sort of sense. So, but you can know it, you can understand it, and you can come from this, and really it becomes the most rewarding, the most fulfilling, the most fascinating, and the most natural experience that you start to have in your life is when you start to know your connection with this life flow force. And really, for me, and I'm sure for you as well, this is what makes life so amazing, is that we're dealing here with a connection with something that we can never fully understand, but we can know. We can never really define, but we can know. We can know within our being, we can resonate with, if you like, that this is truth. This is reality. This is who we are. And there's something so liberating about that and fulfilling that it becomes really, you start to see everything else in the perspective of how can I connect more with who I am, understand more, or have developed my knowingness of who I am even more. And that's what we're creating in this program, is the opportunity to do that. That is the focus and the purpose. It's not about you becoming a millionaire or, achieving any specific goal, if you like. It's about achieving all of the things that are right for you to be the greatest expression of who you really are. And that ultimately is the only way you're ever going to feel and know that you are experiencing life in the way you're designed to be experiencing it.
Yeah. It brings up, Liam, something I like to speak about a lot is this, a lot of us have the question of what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And I actually believe that that question has two answers. And the first answer is the same for all of us. Our purpose, every single one of us here on this planet, our purpose is to come back and reconnect to what we are. Right. And what we are is a powerful, all-loving spiritual being that is infinitely connected to this life flow force. Right. Then the second part of purpose is then what do we decide to do with it? Right. What are we uniquely inspired to go out into the world and share from that connection? Right. And that's what you're saying. Right. Once we tap into this infiniteness, then everything is possible. Right? Everything, it's almost like we don't need to have those goals, because wherever we set our fullness onto, or our perception onto, right, it really starts to flow with that divinity. It starts to flow with that infinite potential.
Yeah, it's really about taking the pressure off yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
Or as I call it, letting yourself off the hook. And that's what
Yes.
letting yourself off the hook is, taking the pressure off yourself and your limited perception of who you think you are and what you think you need to be doing, and all these questions you have in your mind about trying to figure stuff out. When you let yourself off the hook, what happens is this life flow force literally takes over, and you realize that that's where the power, that's where the intelligence is, that's where you are, and all you need to do is go with the flow. Allow that to guide you and take you, not just guide you, take you to the best places possible. And really, the transformations you achieve in your life when you do this, I mean, I'm sure you have some stories to tell of people you've helped with this as well, and I certainly do too, that, it's beyond anything that people realize is actually possible in their life.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're running out of time a little bit, so let's just focus in again on this program. We've created this program, and it's called the Life Flow Force Transformation Program, because it's all about transforming you and help it to a state of connection, much deeper connection with this power, with this force, to really drive your life in a direction that is much more powerful and fulfilling for you. And we've put together, the way we've structured it is in a series of audio lessons. And I think the great thing about creating audios is that people can listen to these over and over, because sometimes, when you have a consultation with either you or me or somebody else, and you hear what they say, but you leave it and you think, well, what do they say? I can't remember it all, or you try and take notes. But when you listen to something over and over again, you get different awarenesses, different understandings. And we've got other factors in this program to support these lessons, these audios on how this all works. We've got some meditations in there, and we've also got some, you might like to talk about the consultations that we're offering people as well for limited time, I have to admit, but
Yeah. Well, I want to speak to that, but quickly I want to speak to the audio. I'd really encourage people to not just listen to this uh like sitting, like the meditation. Yes, the meditations, tune into it, be quiet, still, and go within. But with the lessons themselves, I'd really encourage people to be out in nature or be out connected to the world, right? Because it's, for me, when I'm tuning into something that's empowering and connected to such a primal source like this program, when I'm in the world, right? When I'm connected to specifically the natural world, maybe it's a park, maybe I'm exercising, maybe I'm walking my dog, maybe I'm just, you know, going to be out in the world. It has this extra embodiment, has this extra connection. So I'd really encourage people to listen to it while out and about in nature. The power sessions that you're referring to, for people when they've completed the program to connect to us, right? To really come and open their hearts with everything that they've been through, everything they've experienced, and really go a bit deeper if it's needed, right? To ask questions, to share what is moving through them, and to really have a sort of culmination of everything that they've understood and embodied, come back to, and get the opportunity to use the divine mirror that is us to potentially see more.
exactly, yes, these power sessions, we've called them power sessions because they're very concentrated. What they actually are, they're one-on-one sessions with each of us. So with this program, you get all the audio lessons and the meditations, and there's a workbook as well, which has some really powerful ideas on really accelerating your progress. But we've also included a consultation, a one-on-one consultation with each of us separately, so that you can work your way through the program and get some real insight into what your specific situation is. Because obviously everyone's different and we all have different knowledge, but you can come to these sessions both with Harrison and myself, and we're going to help you make that next leap up, because you will already have reached a level of understanding and awareness and connection
Yes.
with the life flow force, but you're almost certainly going to be thinking, I just want a bit more of a laser-like focus and help in the direction I should be heading. And that's what
Yes.
these sessions are. They're one-on-one, done on Skype or Zoom, where we're really going to help you accelerate your progress. So I think
Yeah.
that's an important part of the program.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm excited. So if people want to find out more, Liam, they can go to lifeflowforce.com. And I know we've been promoting it in our newsletters and on social media. And for people that are listening to this either on Liam's podcast, or I'm also going to release this on my show, you can go to the show notes, the show description on your podcast player, and I'll also put a link to go directly to the website to take advantage of this beautiful journey.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, well, I think if you've got any final thoughts before we wrap up here.
One final thought, Liam, to leave everyone with. I think something else that, as we've been talking today, I've felt this, and I would encourage people who have listened to take one more moment as we close out here to really open your heart. This life flow force is present, right? It's present with both of us as we have this conversation. So this isn't something that you need to wait for. It is already here. But what starts to cement it more in your life is the habits that you take advantage of. And sometimes the simplest habit is one of awareness, right? The simplest habit is one of, I feel really activated by what Liam is saying. I feel really activated by what Harrison is saying. And it's making me feel like I can do anything. It's making me feel like all of my intentions, all of my goals right now, they are possible, and I can actually go beyond them. So as we finish this chat, I would encourage everyone listening and tuning in to just take a moment before you go off and do something else, to just close your eyes, go within, and become aware of what's moving through you. And I think you'll be very surprised around what you feel.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, Harrison, that I would also say really what that means to me is to to go with your feelings and say, does something about what Liam and Harrison, what they're talking about, does it resonate with me? Is there something that beyond my fears or thoughts or questions about, will this work, or how does this work, or I don't know if this is right for me or whatever? Is there something within you that's resonating beyond, as I say, beyond your thoughts? Because that is the life flow force, and that is this intelligence that's guiding you. So go with that. When you feel that connection, go with that. And if that, to be honest, if there's a resonance which says to you that what Harrison and Liam are saying really could benefit me in my life, then you need to enroll in the Life Flow Force Transformation Program. If that's what your inner being is telling you is right, then you should overcome any fears or rationalizations, because that is the energy, that is your essence, that will always guide you in the right direction. So tune into that resonance or that feeling or that connection that you have with your true self, and be guided to take the next step. And if the next step is to enroll in this program, then do it. Don't be held back by fear, because you'll always be guided in the right way. Would you agree?
I love it. Could not agree more. Liam, beautifully said. Thank you for having me on this chat, and I send love to all the people that are tuning in. Thank you for giving us your attention and your hearts, and I hope to see you in the program itself.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here, Harrison, as well. It's great to connect again, and we'll be in touch shortly, I'm sure. All the best.
Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Love Antenna with me, your host, Harrison. If you gained value or this episode hit your heart, please remember to share this out with a friend, a family member, or a lover. You can also leave your love over on Apple reviews and Spotify star feedback, and this helps me spread my frequency to more souls in need. Finally, if you want to connect with me deeper, want to reach out, interested in coaching, please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn at Harrison Meagher, Meagher spelled Meagher. Sending you so much love.
Are you a fan of classic cinema, or a young person who wants to discover the best films of all time? Do these legendary movies still hold up?
On the Generation Film podcast, two guys who grew up when movies dominated the culture share a great film with a panel of young movie lovers and see how it plays for today's generation.
We discuss changes in storytelling styles, representation,
The making of each film, its initial reception, and how its meaning has changed over the years.
Join us as we explore cinema classics across generations on Generation Film.
Electricast. Hey guys, it's Miriam Love here, and I want to share something very special with you. Check out my new release, All In, the Spanish remixes, out now on Electricast Records. And always remember, be love, share love, all love.
Available now wherever you listen to music.